Hey guys, so what we're doing right now is we are going to be looking at the reflective narrative. That's what we're going to start today. So I'm going to show you in your notebook how to get to that, and then we're just going to talk about what the reflective narrative is and the different parts of it, because you're probably going to be doing a little bit different from what you're used to. So the first thing you're going to do is, if you click on reflective narrative up here, in the top right hand corner, you can click and it will take you directly to the part that you're going to be looking at. Okay, so a reflective narrative, you guys know a narrative as telling a story, but this isn't just a narrative essay. This is a reflective narrative, which means that you're going to tell me something that happened, but then you're going to reflect on that. So what you're going to do is, in your notebook, you're going to highlight the prompt that you want to use. The first one is: the lessons we take from obstacles we encounter can be fundamental to later success. Recount a time when you faced a challenge, setback, or failure. How did it affect you, and what did you learn from the experience? So you're just looking back to a time where you had a challenge, a setback, or failure, and what you learned from the experience. The second one: reflect on a time when you questioned or challenged a belief or idea. What prompted your thinking and what was the outcome? And number 3, discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth and a new understanding of yourself or others. So what you're going to do is you're going to, and I'm going to move this up, you're going to highlight, and I'm just going to do the first one just because you highlight it, then you go up here and you're just going to pick a color to highlight. All right, and so that highlights the one that you're going to choose. That way when I'm scrolling through your notebooks, I can see that. All right, so let's look at the organization of the essay, because I want to make sure that you're getting the organization of what you're going to be doing. So the introduction is one paragraph, and it should talk generally about the topic or issue of your reflection. So you're not actually going to start telling me about that time. You're not going to tell me the story yet. You're just going to be reflecting about the topic or the issue of your reflection. For instance, you can talk in general about how people need to know someone cares, or how a passion for something makes a huge difference. Or other things could be, everyone faces difficulties, but it's how you deal with it. So you can talk about difficulties, you can talk about accomplishments, you can talk about, just talk in general about the topic. Then you're going to transition to your thesis. The thesis is going to lead into the specific instance you will discuss in your reflection. So you're not actually bringing up the specific instance, the specific moment, until you get to the thesis. Now, your introduction may only be 3 or 4 sentences. It may not be as long as some of the others. All right, so let's move on to the description. All right, so the description, this is where you're going to cover the basics of the story, such as who, what, when, where, why, how, whatever it is that you need to talk about. Keep the incident focused and select only the most important information, because you will need to add details without writing too much for the description. And then you need to use dialogue when possible. And dialogue is where your quotes, like if somebody said something very specific, quote it instead of just saying they said that and then just kind of give a general. If you can be specific about something someone said, then do that. And I put on here, keep the incident focused. You want to focus in on a moment. You don't want to talk about, a month period. If something went on for a while, then you need to pick that specific moment that really made the difference. It's that moment instead of the entire situation. Think of a point of that situation that made the difference. All right, let's move on to evaluation and analysis. This is 1 or 2 paragraphs as well. So you have to move away from describing what happened in order to reflect on the purpose and influence of the event. So it's not just about telling me what happened. You actually have to reflect on it so that you can tell me, the purpose, the influence that it had in your life. Think about these types of questions. What could have been different? And what would have been the impact of the change? What was good or bad about the experience? How can you make sense of the situation? What did you learn from it? How do you feel about it? Did it change you? If it did, how? So you're reflecting on the moment. So description is telling me what happened and all of the details around that. The evaluation and analysis is where you're moving into reflecting on it and the impact that it's made. Then your conclusion and plan, you're going to wrap up your thoughts. Don't bring up new events, but you're going to think about what new knowledge do you have? What new skills could you apply? How did this incident, or how will this incident influence your future? Those are some questions to think about for your conclusion and plan. So really, the conclusion and plan is more along the lines of, this is where it's brought me, and this is how I plan to use this in my future. This is the lesson that I learned from this. This is how I'm going to plan to use it in my future. This is what, this is how it's made me a better person, or this is how it's impacted me. So there's your conclusion and plan. So the minimum paragraphs you have to have, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can have 2 paragraphs in your description and your evaluation analysis, which means that you could have 6 paragraphs. A lot of people end up having 5 because they have 1 introduction, 2 for the description, 1 for evaluation and analysis, and 1 for conclusion and plan. So those are the components of the essay. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece by piece. We're not going to write the entire essay at one point. Now, your first assignment for this is not the introduction. And I know that this may not make sense to some of you because you're thinking, well, shouldn't I be starting with the introduction? No, what we're going to do is we're going to draft some of the other points first, and then you're going to go back and you're going to do your introduction because, and the reason that I do this is because I've noticed over the years that people will start writing about the event in their introduction, and I don't want you to do that. I want you to save those details for the description. All right, so the description is going to be 1 or 2 paragraphs, and this is what you're going to draft first. You're going to cover the basics, such as who, what, when, where, why. Keep it focused. You need to add dialogue when possible. And then I wrote right here, okay, it says, write 1 or 2 paragraphs describing the event. While you do need to include specific details about the event, you also need to include only the most important information. Keep the event focused on a short amount of time. If you try to describe something that took place over weeks or months, you will not be able to keep it within the allotted 2 paragraphs. So you need to keep it focused. Give me only the most important information. Sometimes I'm reading essays and students will go off on a tangent of something that's irrelevant to the purpose of their essay, and I get lost. So make sure you keep it focused and tell me what you have to tell me. Once you draft the description of the event, so you're going to type all that 1 or 2 paragraphs out, then you're going to go back and you're going to use yellow, green, blue, and purple. And you're going to do 2 sets of, on the yellow, 2 sets of simple sentences that could be combined to compound sentences. So you have to know what a simple and compound sentences are. I've given you a link in the assignment in Schoology. There's a link there if you need to go over what those are. Highlight green at least 1 set of simple sentences that could be combined to be a complex sentence. The blue is going to be something that could be changed to dialogue or a quote. So something that someone said that could be changed to their exact words in a quote. And highlight purple, 5 words that need synonyms. So think of words such as good, bad, very, a lot, lots. Very basic words, and I want you to go find synonyms that will help make that. And synonyms are not just about using big words. It's about being more precise. It's about using the word that gives the best meaning to what you're trying to say. It's not just about using big words. All right. Now, if you look at your writing and you think, okay, I don't have two sets of simple sentences that could be combined into compound sentences. Okay, well, if you don't have two sets of simple sentences, then I need you to highlight yellow a compound sentence. So let's say that you look at it and you're like, I already have compound sentences. I don't have simple sentences to do. Well, then highlight those compound sentences so that I can see that you understand that you're doing a compound sentence there. All right. And again, if you're not sure about compound complex sentences, then you need to get on YouTube and you need to watch some videos about that, because at this point, guys, you know, I can't really go back and spend a ton of time teaching compound complex sentences that you should have gotten years ago. All right. So if you still are unsure about that, then you can go and watch YouTube videos and work on that. And if you still have trouble after watching the YouTube videos, then I can help you focus. But just go ahead and work on that. Once you finish the description draft and you highlight what you need to change, then the next assignment is going to be to actually take those highlighted portions and write another description draft making those changes. So on the first one, you don't have to make the changes on the draft. You're just going to highlight it on the draft. Then when you do draft number 2, that's when you're going to make the change, okay? And you're going to do the same thing with the evaluation and analysis and so forth, okay? All right, so that kind of gives you an idea of the reflective narrative. And you can go ahead and start working on that. Now, you're not doing it all at one time. Make sure that you're looking in Schoology and you're looking at our weekly plan so you can see day by day what you're going to be drafting and working on, because I want you to focus in on things. I don't want you to try to do it all at one time. Okay? All right, so if you have any questions, if you will, come to me whenever you come to me to ask me questions. If you can give me specifics of what you're having trouble with, instead of just telling me I'm having trouble, if you can give me specifics on where you're stuck and what you need help with, that really helps me to focus in on what you need specifically instead of giving you information that you don't need, okay? So if you come to me for help, if you can just let me know specifically what you need help with, we can do a lot better with that, okay? All right, I'm here if you need help, but go ahead and get started on your reflective narrative.